folks, I'm with Nigel and we're at which plot's this?
What did we number it? I think number 1, was it?
Number 1,
I think it's number 1.
1 and 2. Yeah, number 1. I think it's number 1, folks. Nigel's going to have a little talk and then we're going to have a little walk around. You can see that he's been busy on this over the winter.
Yeah, it's quite a time since we met up here. I think it was probably September, October time, Julie, do you think? Somewhere around there.
Could well be, yeah.
And at that time there were a few rows of potatoes on the left-hand side of the plot there.
Yeah.
A few apple trees at the top. And not a lot else. Most of the rest of the plot was still fairly overgrown.
Yeah.
But you can see I've been working on this through the winter.
I know.
And I've had 3 loads of manure delivered. There's a little bit still left at the end.
Yeah.
But you can see I've actually made beds out of it. I put it straight on the undug ground.
Okay.
Because the ground was so badly compacted, I hadn't got the energy or the strength to dig it.
Right.
It was really like concrete. And then it rained and it went really muddy and impossible to dig for that reason.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, I've got to do something. So I put the manure where the beds are going to go.
Yeah. And
I think that may work. And in 3 or 4 months' time, I think it will be very easy to dig those beds.
Okay.
I've not dug the footpaths either. What I'm going to do there is put wood chip down once I've killed the weeds off.
Okay. I assume this plot's not organic.
It will be organic once I've cleared it, but there is too much work for me to contemplate doing it without using Roundup.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got to use Roundup just to get started.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. So you lead the way then, Nigel.
Okay.
What's happening? I might be grunting a bit, folks. I had a fall this morning, if you've watched the video, and my leg's hurting, my knees, I can hardly bend, and so you'll have to put up with me.
You can see on the beds here that the Roundup is starting to work, and I've started putting wood chip between the beds.
Okay. And
very soon, when those weeds die off, I shall stop using Roundup entirely.
Yeah. And
then all of the new weeds that come later, they'll be really easy to dig out.
Yeah.
Because the wood chip is really loose.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also straightened up the rain collector.
Yeah.
Remember that was crooked last time?
Yeah.
Well, in the recent gales that we had, it blew over.
Okay.
It was leaning more and more each week as the mud took over.
Yeah.
And eventually the gale tipped it over and all the water came out. So what I did, I took it all to pieces, and I wire brushed it and I painted it black and straightened it up, and now it's as it should be.
Right, okay. And is it more secure now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more secure. On the left hand side you can see lots of seedlings. These are the 30 best seedlings that I've raised myself, which were originally in the top plot, but they've all been grafted.
Right.
So there'll be grafted trees which will fruit probably in 2 years. These are the original seedlings which I'm keeping until I know the grafts are alive.
Right, okay.
And then when they're alive I can dispose of these, probably by giving them to interested people.
Yeah.
Or perhaps putting them on the edge of woodland or things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very pleased to report that the beds on this side, where I'm not using any spray at all, the beds on this side are full of worms, which was not the case 12 months ago. Right. So the soil is coming back to life.
Okay. I can see we've got some pretty flowers here, Nigel.
Oh yes, these are beautiful apples. In fact, if we have a close look at 1 or 2 of them, let's see if I can find the label. What's this one? Well, this is an apple I was sent by a guy in America. He sent it to a friend in Belgium, and then he sent it to me after it had been vetted for plant diseases.
Yeah.
So it's a Californian apple, and there's nothing really special about it.
Oh, what's this called again? Tom?
I've called it after the guy that sent it to me,
Oh, right, okay.
who's Jim Bastian.
Yeah.
And he has a photograph of himself when he was about 3 years old, standing in the hollow trunk of an old tree.
Right.
And this is grafted from that old apple tree.
Okay.
And he's also got a picture of his father standing in the same tree 30 years earlier, also in this hollow trunk.
Right.
So it's a sort of sentimental value for him.
There's just a quick question with this. I've noticed some are pink,
Yeah.
some haven't really got. Is that because that's not come out and these have lost the pink?
Well,
or...
well, what tends to happen if we look at this? Can you see a lot of apple blossom? It's pink on the outside before it opens,
Right.
but when it opens out, it's sort of white on the inside.
Ah.
And what happens when you've got a cluster of blossoms is you get. Perhaps you'd look at this one here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you see the centre one always opens first,
Yeah.
and then you've got 5 blossoms around which are
Yeah.
still closed, and so you frequently get a pale blossom in the middle because it's paler on the inside,
Yeah.
surrounded by 4 red dots,
Right.
and it's very pretty when you get that
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of juxtaposition of those 2
There's some
colours.
amazing patterns in nature, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. This apple here is I think it's a Tasmanian apple. Oh no, it's not. This is another American one, another
Right.
American
Yeah.
red-fleshed apple with the crimson blossom.
Okay.
This is known as Webster.
Webster. Right.
Well, there's a lovely apple down here.
Yeah.
Can you see how unusual the blossom is? It's all crinkly.
It is, isn't it?
This is known as Mott's Pink, and it's one of the best flavoured red-fleshed apples.
We've not tasted that, have we?
I
don't
don't think we have.
recognise it, no.
No, because last year it suffered very badly from the sawfly, apple
Ah,
sawfly.
when have we got to treat that?
You start treating for that when the petals fall off.
Okay.
So as the petals fall,
Right.
that's when you have to spray.
Okay, so better get some
Yeah.
stuff in. You'll have
Yeah.
to let me know what to get.
Yes, I'll let you know about that. Here we have yet another red-fleshed apple. This one is just right, in the right stage for cross-pollinating. Now, if you look at the flowers here, you can see the centre one is out, and the 5 around it are not out. So when you pollinate this, what you do is you take off the middle one, so you can see the other 5, and then these are what are known as at the balloon stage. This
Yeah.
is just before they open.
Okay.
So what you do when you're pollinating an apple, you get your little tube of pollen, you get your specially adapted scissors, and you take the petals off there. You can see that flower has not opened yet, so
Yeah.
it's not been pollinated. So you take the petals off and you apply the pollen to the stigmas there with your glass rod.
Okay.
But you have to catch the tree at this stage if you're going to pollinate it.
Okay.
If you leave it any longer, the blossoms all come out and the bees do their work,
Yeah,
and you're too late for
Yeah.
cross-pollination.
Okay.
Now the problem today is I was going to pollinate this today,
Yeah.
and the sun came out and it was really warm this morning. But if a pollination is going to work, you really need a temperature of 60 Fahrenheit.
Right.
And it was okay this morning,
Yeah.
and then the sun went in and I could feel it getting colder. And so although I pollinated 1 or 2 flowers, I didn't get to this tree because I thought I'm going to be wasting my time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we're just waiting now for the weather to warm up.
Yeah.
If it keeps cold for the next 3 or 4 days, it will not be possible to pollinate this tree this year.
Right.
Because what will happen, once these flowers are several days old, they become inactive.
Okay.
And then they appear to be okay, but you pollinate them and nothing happens. So they have limited life,
Yeah.
especially if it rains. If it rains on that, you can say goodbye to pollination.
Very pretty, folks.
Yeah, you can see 1 or 2 which I pollinated the other day. There, look.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see the petals have been taken off, and you can just see the stigmas waving
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting plant here. Do you know what that is, Julie? It looks like a gooseberry, but it's
I
not.
was going to say that. Is it? Oh, hang on.
You've got it, yes.
Yeah.
It's a Josterberry.
Yeah.
And that's a cross between a gooseberry and a blackcurrant.
Right. It's the first time I've seen one.
Yeah. Yes, they're a little bit...
They need about 6 foot. They grow about 6 foot wide, don't they?
Yes, that's why it's ended up here, because it was in the garden and it got out of hand.
Right.
So I had to dig it up, take a cutting, and put that in here.
Right.
It's quite a nice fruit. It has a taste that's sort of midway between a gooseberry and a blackcurrant.
Yeah.
They're about as big as a large blackcurrant, and they go very dark when they're ripe, so they attract the birds.
Okay.
So you have to net them unless you've got lots of bushes.
Yeah.
Otherwise you don't get any fruit.
Okay.
What's this one? This is Christmas pink. This is another of our red-faced apples. I'm using this for one of my crosses this year.
Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, when we last met for filming, you did a little 2-minute clip of me doing some pollinating.
Yeah.
You remember the cross that you did with your tree last year?
Yeah.
That was a Braeburn, and we crossed it with George's Red.
Yeah.
I've actually done the reverse cross this year, so I've actually got George's Red tree, and I've taken pollen from your tree and done the same cross the other way round. So it'll be interesting to see how the seedlings compare.
Ah, okay.
And from your tree, we've got so far 10 little seedlings about that
Oh,
height.
lovely.
Yeah, they're just starting to form.
Yeah, and how many did we do?
Well, we got about 50 seeds.
Right.
We planted 20, but we've only got room really to grow about a dozen.
Right.
So we'll pick the best dozen from those 20.
Okay.
And then we'll narrow it down a bit more.
Right.
So, because bear in mind, I do about 40 crosses.
Yeah.
And 40 times, well, how many crosses can we cope with? I think we can probably grow 200 seedlings during the season to full size.
Yeah.
So we can't really have more than, well, perhaps 10 maximum per cross.
Okay.
And some of them will only have 5 or so.
Yeah.
But you don't want too many, otherwise you can't keep your eye on all the trees.
No.
You can see a few self-setting forget-me-nots and other flowers.
Yeah, they soon spread all over the place, don't
they? Yes.
I've been pulling them out of the garden.
And there's some nice little primroses coming, look.
Yeah.
They're self-setters in the apple pots. Some of the compost I use has been used before.
Right.
And they grow like weeds in our garden.
Yeah. Well, it's coming on, Nigel.
Yes, it's coming on all right.
Just trying to think, when did you first get it?
Last April, so it's 12 months.
Is it? Is that all it is?
Yeah, well, I did a little bit of work before then because I anticipated getting it.
That's
but
right.
Then I lost it.
Yeah.
And then they came back to me again.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking one, isn't it?
It is.
Scarlet Surprise, that's from California.
There's a lot from California, isn't there?
Yeah, I've got some friends over there, and there are very strict regulations about taking plant material from one country to another.
Right.
So the way it's done is that I have a friend in Europe who is able to take trees into what they call a phytosanitary station.
Yeah.
It's like a quarantine.
Quarantine, yeah.
And then he's in the trade.
Right.
And when it's gone through, he can then send it to me because he's within Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, now here's one of those 5 red dots, look, and a pale flower in the centre.
Oh, yeah,
Can you see it?
yeah, look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice, that. Can I read the label, see what variety it is? Oh, that's an apple we found in Norfolk. That's called Durrant's apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found it near the Broads.
I've heard that name mentioned before by you.
Yeah, because we've actually tasted the Durrant's apple.
Yeah,
It's a very sweet, very sweet sort of apple. Oh, here's another one with the same pattern. This is an American apple, Grenadine, which we've tasted before. You can see the central flower this time is pink, not white, but still quite pretty.
You're not going to get much closer than that, are you?
No, that's a good picture. And I've got a friend in Poland that has given me this one. This is an apple called Costella.
Okay.
And he was a person that came to one of our grafting courses, and this came from his grandmother's garden.
Right.
He gave me a piece of a piece of cyanwood, and this is the apple tree which I grafted last year.
Okay.
Sorry, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what the flavour's like, but he says it's very, very good.
Mm.
Oh, and I think there's one more worthy of a picture. Couldn't have a look at this one. This is Hidden Rose. Just look at the blossom there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we've tried that in our tastings a few times. It's a bit variable. It can come up to 8 or 9 or 10, but more often it's not as good as that.
Yeah, I took a picture of that for you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Good.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's all that there is to report from this plot for now.
Okay then, Nigel.
But,
well, thanks a lot for the update.
Okay. Good.